Good morning, sir. How are you? Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. I,
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I can hear you. Thank you, thank you. I'm fine. How about you? You okay?
Yeah, okay. Nobody is there today.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. And then weekend probably. The weekend started there. Weekend is actually Friday evening, right there.
Yeah, it's Friday evening, Friday night. It's 9:30 here.
Yeah, that's weekend time. Probably the other participants would be, just celebrating the weekend, or I don't know. Um, Vishal is there. The Vishal is another three members are joining. He is saying Vishal is saying to me. Who are they? I don't know. Three members means again the
Why,
new.
sir? Kamran and Gazma.
Okay.
Kamran and Azma. We can wait for some time because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's okay. So how's your work? So you're working on CA related stuff right now, or
yes, I'm working on taxation these days.
so you know American tax system very well. That means yeah, that's nice.
hmm So I work
Okay.
for different I work for a CPA. I do the taxation work for them,
Mm-hmm.
and the season is their season. So I work. I mean, they pay me like per hour I work, so I make good money on that because I work from home also then. And then I work
Mm-hmm.
for architects as a project manager. I work for them.
Wow, that's nice. Okay. So you stay in Jersey City or somewhere, right? I was in New Jersey a long time back for some time.
I'm in Rockaway. Where were you in New Jersey?
I was in Jersey City, and there was other two couple of places also. I forgot because it's long back. 10 years
Jer-
ago, probably I was there.
Jersey City is like the little India here. So
Sorry?
it's like a little India here. Jersey
Yeah,
City?
yeah, yeah, I know. It's just like India, I know. That's why I remember still there were restaurants, there were meat shops, and it's just like India on the road. You see
Yeah, that is
tobacco,
that particular street,
cherry.
Newark Avenue. It's all Indian,
Yeah,
so I go there. I mean, if I have to go for grocery shopping, so we go.
correct.
Sometimes we go there, not all the time, because now it's very congested. It's difficult to get the parking there, and so we don't go there very often. But sometimes we go there to get the specialty item. But now there are Indian stores all over now.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. It's a cool place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Asma also is here. Hi, Asma. Good evening. We're just waiting for the other people. We're just talking to me and Aruna. Hi, Asma. He says other three people. What does it mean, Aruna? You mean Kamran Nalvi and there's some other person also?
Yes.
And then?
Kamran and Pfizer and Asma. I think Asma is here, so Kamran and Pfizer.
Oh, that way. Okay. So, do you use any tools when you work with the tax? Sorry?
You were working here in New Jersey?
No, it was a business trip actually. It was kind of working only. I was in so many places, business trip from east to west. I was in California and New York and New Jersey and Texas and all that. One and a half
Yeah.
month trip it was.
Texas and California, they have like a lot of SAP jobs. All
Yes,
type
yes,
of.
yes. Correct. That time I was not into SAP. It was long back, 10 years ago. I was into SAP in the last
And
5 years only. Before that, I was a data warehouse and other
with
data
the
architect.
with the kind of knowledge you have, if you start working
Yeah,
here, initially you will get at least $80 per hour. That's the
yeah,
minimum.
I
You
know.
may
Yeah,
get like about 100 also.
I had an H1 also that was expired last year. It was 10 years. I didn't use it. And
Oh,
now I
but
know it is very difficult to file for H1. Yeah, I know it is very difficult now. I'm
it
following the news, and then
is
it is
difficult to
crazy
get it
now.
now.
Lottery and so many other things came.
The lottery system, you should be very, 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 very lucky to get selected.
Correct,
And
correct. You're right.
now it is expired. It cannot be renewed now. So you will have to apply for a new H1 if you want to come here now.
Correct, 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 correct. I mean, a couple of consultants already asked me whether if they can fly now. I cannot count on that because US is now. I'm actually a Europe guy. I was in Europe for 5.5 years, so
Mhm.
I have more attachment with Europe. I think I should be going there going
No,
forward.
but actually, I have been to Europe also, but I don't know, but US is much better
America
than
is better.
the
Obviously,
work
America is
culture.
much better. Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
It's
America
much
is
better
much better.
than
Yeah,
Europe.
I find it. Yeah, obviously, it's much better. It's much better than, especially for Indians. America is best choice.
It's a better
We feel
choice.
at home there. Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
feel at home there. Because the other
Yeah.
countries like Germany, Italy. I was in Germany and Italy for more than 5.5 years. Germany and Italy put
Mhm.
together, but it was, yeah,
Germany is a
they're
beautiful country, but like I don't know, but I went there as a tourist, but people were very rude there. So,
I mean, yeah, they actually, yeah, Indians, we sometimes we don't get respected. Yeah, that's a problem. But
mm,
sometimes it's okay. Yeah,
but
not
here
all the
it's
time.
yeah, not all the time, maybe because I was there for a short period of time, so I shouldn't say that, but that's what I felt.
Yeah,
But I mean, I feel like I have been to other countries, but I feel like US is much better choice than Europe. Work
correct. But US
culture,
has become
everything, the
it's
life
the
is
biggest
better
thing
here.
now.
Education is
Correct,
better
correct, correct.
here, so it's better if for your kids also. It is better. The education is much better here, so especially for the children,
True,
it's.
yes, true, yeah, correct.
Mhm.
That's right. These days, Indians have the choice. Canada also. Canada migration is more easy these days.
Canada
US is
is more.
becoming it's tough
Yes.
there. I
Hmm.
mean, it depends on the page and other things, you consultant and all that. US process, not only the candidate. Uh, you cannot do much candidate here. Probably you have to depend on the lottery process, consultant, process and all that. No?
The people, if they don't get visa for US, they try to go to Canada, and then they try to get the working visa from there. Kamran has the same visa, Cuban, so he can come and work here in US. Actually, he was asking me, I got couple of leads, so I will send it to him if he's interested. Those are very good leads. So if
Correct.
he,
Okay.
that's what he was interested, so I will email it to him.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Uh, so your husband also works in IT or the tax or
My
the
husband,
business?
no, but my husband died 2 years back. He was an
Oh my
engineer,
God. Okay.
so
Okay.
he had his own construction company. So I was
Okay.
solely working for him. So I have 15 years working experience in construction company. So
Okay.
it so happened then while he was when we were doing the business, the two architect we worked with, so we
Mm-hmm.
were basically doing all the government jobs. We were building the
Mm-hmm.
government buildings like the courthouses, schools, those type of buildings. So we worked with
Mm-hmm.
a lot of architects. So two of them offered this job to me. So
Mm-hmm.
they wanted like someone for 2, 3 days a week who can come 2, 3 days a week and take care of the
Mm-hmm.
projects. So that's what I do for them. So I work as a project manager for them. So I work
Okay.
2 days for one architect and 2 days for the other architect. And then I work for this CPA for taxation on Fridays.
Okay. 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 Fine. Okay.
And then I bring the CPA work from his office. I bring the work home, and then I do it over the weekend. On Saturday, Sunday, I work from home.
You also work in the weekend as well. Yeah, every weekend.
Every weekend.
Mm. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah. Yeah. Fine. I think Kamran Ali has come.
Yes.
So, hi sir, good evening, Kamranji. So I think we have everybody, yes.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, fine sir, thank you. How about our friend is coming up, sir? We have other
Okay.
friend.
Sir, my
We
friend,
have other friend.
yes, I just sent him the link. Basically, he didn't know about the class, so he have family dinner today, so he will get the recording. So he have got the registration too.
Oh, so he didn't know. Okay, I'm sorry.
Basically, you didn't send him the message for the class, so I
Oh,
gave him.
I don't have it. Okay, sorry, sir. I don't have his email ID. Yeah,
Yeah.
please text me his email ID, sir. After this class, Kamran, you just text me his email ID. Yeah.
Sure, I will.
Okay, Kamran,
Okay.
I got a couple of leads that you would be interested in. I'm gonna forward that email to you. Okay, so
Sure,
you
thank
email
you.
the consultant, and those are very good jobs. So uh,
Oh, so
you
thank.
can, yes, you just send them an email or call them and tell them that you emailed this job list to Aruna. She's my friend. Okay,
Okay,
she
right.
forwarded that to me. So
So,
I'll
so, ca-
forward it to you.
so can you send me the consultant number, because before sending I should call him, because
Yes,
they know how to fix the resume and everything.
yes, okay. I'm gonna email you. I will forward that email to you. The email from the
Yeah,
company.
can you send me your contact number? So can you connect on the WhatsApp? I will email you my number.
Yes, okay. I will. Okay, let me write down my number here. Okay.
Yeah, 416.
No, okay. Your number. Okay, you write down my number. I'll write it here on the chat box. You see.
No, email me, please. Email me.
Okay, after the class, I will email you my number. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I will forward that email, and then I will, in that email I will write my number also. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's nice. And we were actually talking about, yesterday several things. One amongst that was, how do we manage, insert statements, for example, in column-oriented tables? Because we were talking about the aspects of row-oriented table, and we have the column-oriented table. I think by default, HANA chooses column-oriented. This one is by
Yes.
default. And now we have a problem, because if we choose by default, which means create table is nothing but create column table. It's the same. We can do the alter table anyway, anytime, and then we can also do create row table. But the point is, the row table is not recommended by HANA guys. Um, because they say the column-based table was the best fit for the analytics. So now the question is how the HANA manages the other advantages that we have from the row-based tables, because if we have any insertion, we know that it is going to be very tough to handle in the column table. We can still handle, but we lose the advantage of the row table in terms of when we insert any statement. So the system gets, it takes unnecessary amount of time if you have a column-based table. Otherwise, it is very good in terms of conducting analysis, in terms of compression, in terms of so many other things. The column-based table was very good as we know it. We have discussed all that here, the differences. But right now, what I'm trying to tell you is how SAP HANA handles that write instructions on top of the column-based tables. They have a mechanism. SAP HANA invented one mechanism to actually handle write operations on top of column-based tables. Because we all know that it's not optimized because the row-based tables are good at, if you want to insert something or change something or write something in the table. How do we do that? We actually do with something called delta mechanism here. Delta advantage, we call it in HANA. So they handle like this. We don't do anything. We just study how HANA does this, How HANA does it like this. We just want to understand this, how HANA does it. First of all the, we call it two chunks here, two memory chunks, okay? One is the main chunk, the other one is delta chunk. It does it inside the memory itself. Inside the main memory, you can see here inside the RAM, HANA keeps it two separate chunks. One is the main one, which we have all the column oriented, which is compressed, which is read optimized, obviously, which is analytics optimized, which is actually by default, we have all these things. At the same time, HANA also keeps something called delta here, which is write optimized. Assuming that we don't know the structure inside it, but we know that it just easily does it writing onto the table than this, because this is the usual column-based type. The writing is not easy here. So this is something that is called delta. It is only optimized for the writing purposes. So what happens now is, when they have these two, obviously the read operations needs to be aligned with these two, because we don't know, we being a customer, we being the HANA Studio user, we might read from this or from this. Obviously both should be available for us. I hear some sounds, but you can mute it. I hear a lot of sound. Kamran, I think Kamran, can you just mute it? Or maybe Asma is traveling, or okay, no, I think not Asma, Kamran only. I think now it is fine. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Because it's very important. This concept is very nice concept, and this is new in SAP HANA. It's good that if you can get this concept.
Excuse me, sir.
Please, sir, please.
Sir, your voice is not coming as it was coming yesterday and before yesterday when you switched the server. ISP.
Oh, is it, sir? Because how about you, Asma and Aruna? My voice is okay?
Yeah, I can hear you properly.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Okay, that means, sir, Kamran, sir, probably you have to do your settings, because I use the other ISP that I'm using actually, the best one only I'm using. So I was talking about this delta advantage, yes. So let's just see how this works. So what happens is, any insert that we do, it'll be on top of the delta. HANA takes care of it. We don't have to do anything. We just wanted to see how this mechanism works. So it works nicely in such a way that these two chunks should be available for you for reading on top of it, because otherwise we miss. We should be able to read recently updated one, recently inserted one, or we should be able to read the previous one also. So main and delta is available for the read operations, but whereas the write operations, only the delta is available, because the main is not optimized here. The main is column based, so it takes a lot more effort, a lot more time if we write on the. That's why we came up with something called delta. So now, how do we handle this over a period of time? Over a period of time, it becomes like this. Please watch this carefully. There's going to be something called delta merge, which is quite often, the SAP HANA certifications tries to ask questions on this. What happens is, in this situation, over a period of time, the delta gets, more and more, because we would be inserting things. There has to be a mechanism where, the things need to be come into the main. So that is something called delta merge. So in that merge, during merge, what happens is, two things happens. One, we have to create new main. I mean, the HANA will be creating for inside the main memory. This is all inside the main memory. So HANA will be creating main new and delta new. What happens is it will try to merge all the old ones. Why it has to do like this is because it should not be interrupted while we are doing, because somebody would be picking up the information for the reporting, or somebody would be, I mean, anybody can update anything inside the server, So all the directions, all the aspects need to be considered here. For that purpose, what they did was they introduced two aspects, new main and then new delta. So what they do is the old main, old delta, they would be merging with into the new main. So in that way, but at the same time, during the merge, the read operations not necessarily from the new main, because it's the same thing of old main and old delta for that moment. This merge is just a moment of time. But at the same time, I still hear Kamran sir, a lot of sound actually. Disable your audio. I think now it is much better. How about others? All hear that noise, right? Only me.
Yes, I could hear that too.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So are you okay, Kamran sir? You're able to hear what is happening here? You could see that, right? You could see the screen and you could hear me? I guess so.
Muted, so I is muted. I think he can't hear you.
Okay. So now we're talking about this delta advantage concept. So there's something called delta management, we call it inside the SAP HANA. So during the merge, what happens is SAP HANA puts it two chunks again. There's going to be four chunks at that moment. So after that moment, it's the same thing like before. So during that moment, what happens is we will actually have to merge the main and delta. The idea is this delta is getting more and more over a period of time based on certain conditions, certain situations. We'll be talking about those situations after this slide. So we'll have to merge these two. So for that, we have a concept called the new one is introduced here, the main, and the new one is also introduced here. So the old main and then old delta will be merging into the new main. So it's the same thing if you read from old main and old delta, no need to read from new main because it's the same thing. But new delta is again ready during that time, because if there is any insert or update, it is going to go inside this. So that one should be also ready for the, because HANA server could be connected to n number of users. So everybody should get the latest update of the database if they want to. So the facility should be available in such a way that there shouldn't be any deadlock or other aspects. That's why they had to do new main and new delta just to remove the old main and old delta. So in this, the right operations, we are doing it. So this is how it works. So after merge, what happens is it's the same thing of before merge, but only thing is you have the new chunk here, which is the new main chunk, and then again the delta is available for us to update, put the inserts and all that. This is endless process. This is going on internally inside the HANA server. So how this is actually done is, so we can ask questions, who actually decides when this delta merge will happen. So it'll actually happen automatically. We don't have to do anything. HANA has technology for us called smart technology, smart merge technology. So they do it based on the main chunk size, and then delta chunk size, and then your overall RAM availability, and then the administrator segregation in terms of the RAM to the host. There's a lot of administrative management is there behind it, but HANA takes care of it on top of it. But one can do also manually by using just merge delta of SQL statement. We have this also. So which means in case if we feel there is a, situations, we will be talking those situations. For example, if there is any, threshold problem, because if we feel that the maximum size of delta storage is getting achieved by looking at the delta, we can also see this, by the way, in the HANA Studio. So if we feel that we need to free up the memory, we can also do that. But we don't have to do that, but obviously we can also do that. We have an option to do manually also. So the main point that you have to remember here is the delta storage does not have a compressing aspect because it is only optimized for the writing purposes, just like the row-based column, the row-based table that we have, which is very good for writing into the table. So which is optimized for the writing into the table, which has been used in the RDBMSs for several number of years. Just the intention is saving the data, storing the data, dumping the data. So the write aspect is very powerful in there. So the delta works something like that. So, and it does not compress. That is the reason why we actually have to merge as soon as possible or as early as possible, so that the compression things works once the whole chunk comes into the main part of the memory. So because we have two parts here, main and delta. So that's it. This is the concept. So we can also do in the HANA Studio, the administrator also can do that. Again, administrator will be the owner of controlling all this memory. So we may not be able to do that unless we have the privileges on the memory part. So this is basically can be achieved. So by looking at this, what we understand is we understand that the right optimization is just achieved, because otherwise the column-oriented table was the right optimization. It is just good for the analytics. It is good for the read optimization. It is actually good for compression and so on and so forth. But we miss this, the speed aspect in terms of writing into the database. But after having this delta management, delta advantage aspect in SAP HANA, we did not miss it. So which means it is as good as working with the row-oriented tables in terms of inserting things, updating things, So that is something that one more key aspect of SAP HANA. Because somebody who does not know this concept from outside can say that it is column store, so you have a disadvantage when it comes to updating the database. So we don't here. We have another aspect. See, SAP HANA, what they did was, they did all their best. They did every aspect to achieve the speed. So the focus in SAP HANA is just one thing always, which is speed versus handling huge amounts of data. This is the main aspect of SAP HANA. So they do not want to compromise on this. So that they have come up with so many technological aspects, such as we know all that, for example, like in-memory, massively parallel, column-oriented plus row-oriented, and delta advantage, and highly compressed, and so on and so forth. We have so many aspects, advanced technological aspects in SAP HANA to achieve speed, which is not easy. Because, by the way, when you look at even SAP HANA, SAP ecosystem, we have like R2 and until S4 HANA, which is a 4th generation ecosystem. This R2 and R3, R stands for real time. Actually, they have been trying even 3 decades ago. The SAP companies trying to be real time. Real time is not easy if you have huge amounts of data. Real time is not easy if you have operational data in various locations. Just imagine you're running a company where you have operations in more than 10 countries, yet if you have infrastructure to conduct analysis on real time, that would be really great if you can do that. But that is something which can be achieved with the help of SAP HANA, which will be a huge project, of course. So the HANA is mostly used for the handling huge amounts of data. Of course, I think the companies would not be going for HANA if they do not have so much of database, because by using the traditional databases, they can still optimize it and get the speed. But of course, they miss it if they have huge amounts of data. These days, we have huge amounts of data everywhere, social media, everywhere. So these days, the challenges are to handle unstructured data, unstructured huge data, so which is a key challenge. And yes, let's just see the HANA use cases also. You might be wondering what types of HANA projects are there in the industry. So I just wanted to show that also. Before that, I think we have seen this massively parallel aspect also. This slide talks about, you know, we have various CPUs, and then we have inside the CPU various cores, and then we could be having a soft threads also inside the cores. We could find you know, several parallel executing points if you have you know, with the latest hardwares that we have. So earlier, probably going if you go back 10 years ago or more, the hardware that we have right now is completely different. That's why HANA chooses to come up with the hardware. HANA made it as an appliance because to have the control to take the advantage of the latest hardware that is available in the industry. So this, we spoke about it anyway. And data compression, let me first quickly go into the use cases of HANA, if I have here, which will be very interesting for you to understand actually where HANA projects are being used. You know, what is the topmost project right now happens in the industry, what type of project, and then at the same time, what is the second best project, what is the third best project, so on and so forth. After this, we can actually get back to our modeling and you know, do the calculation view, which is where we spoke about attribute view, analytical view, and we'll have to talk about calculation view, of course, which is very important, which is very complex. We have to start the project. For that, I spoke to Rahul here. I have a lead here in from the training management people. So he says this will be given on Monday, you know, the server access to all of us. So they're still working on that. So you require the server access, but when you get the server access, talk to them and then make sure that you get for a little longer time. Even after I finish this course, at least you should be having server access for, let's say, another 3-4 weeks more than you know, the course duration time, so that you can actually practice and then get to the tools and then use them. So that is something that you have to talk to them. And yeah, let me just go to this.
Yes,
please.
Rahul told me, I spoke to Rahul before I joined this course. He told me that he will provide us the server access till we get a project, till we get on the job, so that we can practice.
Oh, that's really nice. So such a long time they can provide to you. Is that
Till
so?
we get now we are on the job, so we will get the server access till then.
Okay. Because it is important, yes, that's right. I think that's a good thing. So yeah, let me just talk about SAP HANA use cases. Use cases, in a sense, in what type of projects SAP HANA is being used, or what types of implementations SAP HANA can carry. Right now, being carried in the industry, in the IT industry. So if you look at it, present IT industry, right now, the HANA is being used mostly for the data marts. So the first type of projects that you are seeing in the industry, I'm seeing in the industry right now, is creating data marts, in specific creating agile data marts. So first of all, just to talk about it, what is data mart? See, data mart is something that we already spoke about it. It is we know we have databases there, which is very fundamental. We know, and then data warehouse is also there, which is actually warehouse of all the databases. But the structuring of the data is completely different from the database structure, and the purpose is completely different. We know that. So data mart is also like a data warehouse, but it is actually, it only contains a portion of it. It does not be having a huge data. Normally it focuses on particular function like sales, marketing, so on and so forth. So it's basically, let's say, for every sales, you will have a data mart in the industry. For every marketing department, you will have a data mart, rather than having a huge data mart for the whole company. One can plan like that also. Actually, when we construct the data warehouse, we can plan. I think you guys have heard about this top-down approach and bottom-up approach while we construct the data warehouse. We can actually construct by making the data marts and clubbing them together, or we can directly arrive to data warehouse also anyway. So I hear again something is going on background. Is it the same case with you, Aruna, or only me hearing this noise?
Oh, I can hear the disturbance here.
I can
Okay, I just
static in the background.
yeah, I think it's coming from some other place, not from me. I'm wondering, it's not from me. I made sure that there's no noise here behind me.
But I think we all are muted, so
I think it's just Kamran sir, just can you mute it? Probably you can just unmute when you want to talk to us. Yeah, that's right, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sorry about it because it's just a noise, yeah. And so basically we're talking about data marts. So right now HANA is being used to develop data marts because the one thing is it is the RDBMS first of all, HANA. The first and foremost word that we have, if we have to talk about HANA, we just have to say that it is RDBMS. Of course, on top of it we have so many things. And HANA is a platform itself. Until then we can talk several things. But the best use case right now in the industry is people are developing data marts with HANA. Let's just see how they are doing it. They're actually in the scenarios, the business scenarios are like this in the industry right now. Mostly they are happening with the SAP ERP packages, SAP Business Suites. So the non-SAP guys using HANA is not much right now in the industry. Most of the projects that are being held with the HANA is actually with the SAP. That's why
can you hear me, sir?
Sir, your voice is not coming.
Sir, I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's I am muted, mute now. That's
Yes,
why.
and the screen is also frozen, so
Hmm?
the screen is frozen.
Yeah, screen has frozen.
Yes.
Message him, please.
Okay, I typed him. Let's see. I texted him, see what happens. I think he got disconnected. And it happened day before yesterday also, he got disconnected and the meeting was terminated, session was terminated.
Yeah. I think you guys can hear me right now. Sorry. You guys can hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Aruna? Yeah, sorry. I got a call from my office, but I was not able to unmute after that. But sometimes this go-to meeting is, it takes time, I think, sometimes to mute between mute and unmute. Yeah. So what I was talking is, I was talking on this. Yeah. See, most of the projects right now you're seeing HANA is being implemented for the SAP projects. So for non-SAP projects, basically HANA can be used as a database. But of course, HANA as a product, they complement if you, in terms of the pricing and other advantages you will have if you actually do it with the SAP, other SAP packages, SAP platform, rather than the non-SAP platform. So in the industry right now, so that is something that you have to know. So you have to be a little bit familiar with the SAP ERP system also when you're becoming SAP HANA consultant going forward. So you just have to study a little bit about how the SAP ERP works, what are the packages available, a little bit about, Netscape, a little bit about the platform like T-codes and all that you have, and yeah, things like that. So right now I was just talking about this, the project, what we are seeing is we have SAP Business Warehousing System, and then we have SAP Business Suite also. So the Business Suite here is OLTP system. It is just a ERP system which is dealing with some functional domain, such as sales or material management or anything it could be. And the business warehouse is something which is a data warehousing solution. So the companies have this data warehousing solution if their transactional data system is really used. So normally if they have a huge amounts of data in their transactional systems, they should be having a plan to implement a data warehouse, or they would have been having that implemented system readily available by now. So this is in this scenario, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring speed to the system, because this ERP system is fine, everything in terms of working except the speed. The moment you have so much of data here, terabytes of data, assume that you reach 100 terabytes, 200 terabytes of data, your sales data, your marketing data, your manufacturing data, or it could be all the company data. So it is really tough to bring the speed in terms of working on the reports. So the idea of SAP HANA is just the speed versus huge amounts of data. That's what I said. So the same thing, what happens is they just bring, they will not disturb the existing infrastructure. They will just have it here. They will try to make it as a agile data mart based on the data warehousing function you are looking at. You might be looking at a specific data mart for the sales, or you might be looking at specific data mart for the marketing, or vice versa, some other business functions that you may have in your company. So that particular data mart can be targeted to implement using SAP HANA. This is very effective. You get the the results are as per expected. I mean, you would want the reports to be done in no time, rather real time, So you can achieve it with the help of HANA technological advantages we have. So in this, what we have to do is, you will be playing like a data migration consultant. I will have to still cover those topics, which means how you can migrate data from, source systems into the HANA systems. So you will be also doing data modeling inside it once, the content is being moved here, because you would not be probably bringing all the tables here. You're only just targeting on data mart, which is dealing with a specific function. So those function related tables only would be coming up. For example, like 20, 30, or 60, or 50 tables, or 10 tables, or 5 tables. You would be having some target on the number of tables that you want to bring in here. You'd be only bringing on that to make that particular data mart. We call this as agile data mart, and then typically it contains, this is a typical ETL you do, something like extraction, transformation, and loading, but we don't call it as an ETL actually here in SAP. We say data provisioning or data migration, data replication. These are the words that SAP uses. So, but the concept is same like ETL here. So it is actually more compared to the enterprise data warehousing environment, because if you have to build enterprise data warehousing environment, which is more complex, which requires huge team and then huge planning, and then obviously it is much bigger in terms of the size. This is a data mart when you compare, which you are actually dealing with a specific cluster of the business, such as sales.
Yes, sir.
So right now in the industry,
Sir,
yeah, please.
sir, is it possible that SAP HANA server can be replaced by the existing SAP ECC6? If someone do not want to apply the simple finance, but they want to keep the SAP HANA server for database, is it possible?
You mean replacing ECC?
Yes.
No, sir. See, please let me just give you a clarification here. Yeah. Because I think you have SAP background, any of you, Asma and Aruna, I think you have not worked with any of the SAP system, right? Even Kamran.
Experience.
I have SAP FICO. I learned SAP FICO. I've worked on SAP FICO, so.
Okay, great. And then I think you know how SAP system works. Asma, you worked with SAP, right?
No, very limited. I only have a little bit of exposure to business objects.
Business objects, that is a, yeah,
That is
modeling.
the reporting tool.
Right. So let me just give you, the response to what Kamran is asking here. He's saying, see how the ECC works is here. SAP ECC basically always have to depend on the underlying database. We agree, right? So we always have something called underlying database here. This underlying database is a third-party SAP certified database until HANA comes. Okay, so there were implementations of SAP systems like this. Basically, SAP system, all the functional modules, we can say, are OLTP systems. All the functional modules are said to be OLTP systems. Of course, for but if we have a data warehousing system, which is a BW, SAP BW on the other hand, is an OLTP system. You agree with me, right, on this? Right now, what Kamran sir is saying, can we replace SAP ECC? No, actually what happens is, we're talking about replacing only this part, yeah, which is a database. This part is just the application part.
Yes, sir,
So,
same I am asking.
yeah, this part is an application part. We did not replace with the SAP ECC. That means if you want to replace, you have to go for S4 HANA. Try to understand, S4 HANA is different from the HANA. So what is the difference here is S4 HANA is a complete ecosystem. It is a platform. It is a fourth generation simplified SAP platform right now, released in the 2015 end, which is targeting to revise all the functional modules such a way that they all take the advantage of HANA, and S4 HANA has the underlying database as HANA compulsory. You cannot change it. You cannot go for third-party certified databases at all in S4 HANA. So they decided that the whole packages are coming up with the HANA as a database. That's why you probably would want to learn HANA. But S4 HANA is certainly different from the HANA. So HANA is the part of the S4 HANA. So S4 HANA depends on the HANA. So if you talk about the HANA, it is not necessary that we are talking about S4 HANA, because HANA, you use it as an underlying database, with which, of course, you have a lot of advantages with that. And it could be a platform itself. HANA could be a platform itself again. But S4 HANA is an ERP ecosystem, ERP fourth generation ecosystem from SAP, where HANA is its underlying database. I think this makes sense now, what I said. Is it okay? Now I think, Kamran, you got, I think you got the clarification. So, but another thing is, right now there were so many implementations. For example, Fortune 500 companies, if you look at 65 to 70% of the companies, they use SAP as their ERP. So all of a sudden, they cannot, they have already done implementations, so everything is in place. They spent so much money, so much resources until now to make their infrastructure and work on this module. And then they're working, the modules are doing fine. All of a sudden, they cannot change the existing infrastructure just because HANA can do so many things. So only thing is they can bring HANA next to their infrastructure and see how HANA can fine-tune their existing infrastructure, and how HANA can bring the speed. I think this is something that it is happening more right now, rather than just replacing it. So is it okay? I can move on now. Now you got the clarification, Kamranji?
Yes.
Okay. So right now I was talking about this. Yes. So this is one of the use case you see in the industry. So you should be preparing for this use case tomorrow when you apply a job. Your job roles would be data migration consultant, like I said. So I'm going to teach you 4 migration techniques, which I did not cover. So you could be using any of these or some of these or combination of these migration techniques to actually bring it. You see here, you are actually connecting to the semantic layer. You're not actually connecting to the database layer, which means you can also bring the semantics, which means the structures also you can migrate here, which means the modeling part here becomes easier because you are actually moving some of the information models that could be modeled in the system. And in the system. Yeah, please.
Sir?
Please, sir.
So migration in S4 HANA will be different from the migration in SAP HANA, right?
Yeah, S4 HANA is completely different, sir. Sir,
So
actually you are working on, you are actually working on S4 HANA, sir. You are working on S4 HANA Simple Finance. So one of the aspect of S4 HANA is underlying database HANA, sir, which you are learning right now. So we're not, this course is not for S4 HANA, sir. Yeah. But like I said, I have a couple of information, very little information S4 HANA in this class 7. If you want, you can just go through this. It will give, but you know it, you are expert already S4 HANA. I think you should be knowing all this. But basically S4 HANA is separate topics, sir. Like I said just now here. So these two are 2 different things, sir. So we only talk about HANA as a technology, sir. HANA as an RDBMS, HANA as a data warehouse, HANA as a data mart, and HANA as a platform. And then in that we try to talk about modeling and then data migration and then reporting. Right now we are talking about other key strengths of HANA, such as delta advantage, compression, and all that. So going forward, we will be talking about this modeling. We'll be looking at the other parts of the modeling so that we can start the project also. And then in that, data migration also we'll have to look into that, of course. The data migration, we will use 3-4 tools here, so I'll be showing those tools also in my class. So just to understand, for you to get a feel of what kind of projects HANA is being used right now. So I'm trying to show these use cases right now so that you can get a little bit motivation in terms of how the HANA is being used and how you can target for your jobs. So in any of these use cases, you can target for your jobs going forward, because these use cases are the mostly used implementations right now in the industry. So in this, like we said, so data migration consultant you can play, and then data modeling, the attribute use, analytical use, calculation use, and all that to optimize the business, of course. So this is one use case, and on the other hand, you have operational data mart. This one is an agile data mart, which is different. You have operational data mart, with which usually this can be done with the non-SAP system also, and then with the SAP system also. People are being used. I mean, HANA is being used right now in the industry to actually make implementations of this type of projects also. So here, the point is here, as you see clearly the difference. Here we could get some of this semantic layer into the HANA box because we're dealing with the application layer here. Whereas here, we will be dealing with the database itself. So this could be a third-party SAP certified database mostly, if in SAP systems, and in non-SAP systems, of course, this could be any other database. So what this project says is, you will bring HANA next to this project, next to this existing infrastructure, and then you try to actually migrate the data. Sometimes you try to make a connection so that the data migration is a replication actually, which is real time, which means if there is any change here, obviously the change happens here because it is a transactional system. The daily based transactions, the weekly based transactions are being fed here. So the change happens here, immediately the change gets affected here in HANA box also. So that type of data replication tools we have, for example, SLT. So what happens is here, and then you conduct your business intelligence reporting on top of your SAP HANA. So this will be operational data mart because it is still under operational. All the operations are getting affected here. It is still a data mart because this is available for you to conduct analysis. Whereas here, this is a transactional system. You can still conduct analysis here, but it is a really tough job for you to write a query and for the system to take that query, because it has to break down the query into the such a way that it reads from the data and not ready to read instructions also. It is not ready to take your read instructions as how the data warehousing and then data marts takes, because data marts and data warehouses are optimized for read intensiveness. We know. So this second type of projects we have, sir, in the market. So you can also target, based on your job. After you getting the job, you will know actually what kind of implementation. Anyway, I'm sorry, you may not be able to target the type of job that you want. Obviously, all you can look is HANA implementation. But once you get to it, what kind of implementation, you will know only once you are inside. So this could be a second type of implementations we could see in the industry. And then third type, what we have is okay, clear the first two types that I spoke to you. So you could guess, right, what HANA is doing for the current IT infrastructure. You could understand, right, how HANA is bringing the advantage in these two cases, for example.
Yes, sir.
You could guess, right? Yeah, you could guess how nice thing HANA is doing. You could guess, right? So that is why HANA jobs are there. That is why HANA is being used effectively. And then the third type that we have is, this is something that we say sidecar scenario or side by side. What we do is, for example, this is mostly for the business, for the financial applications. Probably Aruna and Kamaran could be looking at some this type of implementation going forward, so that they can become techno-functional. If you can involve in this particular type of project going forward in your first job. If you can do 1 or 2 implementations of this particular one, what I'm showing, you become techno-functional. Your functional is financier. Whereas here, mostly you are still technical. So here we will see what happens. Here, usually we have this, for example, we have FICO here. We have FI module here in the SAP Business Suite. And then we have underlying database. And assume that we have a huge database here. For example, if you are familiar with the SAP CO tables such as MARA and KNA1, they are huge tables. They'll be having, let's say, more than 200 columns probably. And then sometimes we'll be having 10 million records or 20 million records in each table. So what happens is, in this infrastructure, everything is fine, but only thing is the speed. They have this system, and then all this financial data is available. All other data is also available, which is connected to the financial data. Also, financial consultants look for the financial data reporting things here. They would want to report on top of products, sales, and all that in terms of finding financial aspects. So the problem here is they lack the speed. The report will take sometimes hours because the underlying database is a traditional database, 0.1, so it is completely restricted. It has its own, it's limited by its nature, by the type of technological aspects which are available inside the traditional database. It is not, let's say, column oriented, or it is not in memory, or it is not highly compressed to handle the use data, or it is not massively parallel. You don't have any advantage here. So what happens is in this situation, the report will come after hours together sometimes. This is the reality in the industry. So in this, HANA comes as sidecar approach, which means your infrastructure is there as it is. You don't disturb. You bring HANA just to accelerate your business. To tell us in simple way, just to get the reports in no time. Whereas here the report takes 2 hours, here it just takes 2 seconds. So that scenario you want it. For that, you bring HANA next to this infrastructure. Then what you do is, you try to do both here. Here, we try to, bring the, from the application layer, we bring the data structures into the HANA. Here we only bring the database directly, so we have to work on the data structures here. But here you can do both. You can actually bring some of the defined structures which are in the application layer of the SAP. You can actually bring into HANA. And then you can actually connect to the SLT with the real-time replication with the database. So what happens is now, this is a DBSL, is a database shared layer. So what happens is now, if you ask, you can set in SAP Business Suite such a way that if I request for any report here, I can conduct little quick analysis here. If I know that the report is going to take so much time, so I will divert my request to this. So that anyway, this is connected from down as a real time. So I can divert this request here. And what happens is here, I will take that, some of the structure available here, or I should be already having the structures available for the such tables that I'm focusing here. So that it takes that structure, and then obviously the data is available from here. And then you can target report on top of this, and the report will be in no time. For example, COPA is that, cost and profitability analysis. What we are trying to do is, it could be this way. In the industry, for the COPA projects, they use it as a sidecar scenario. We call it a side-by-side. HANA is being used as a accelerator here. It will just accelerate the situation. It will not bring anything except the speed. So here everything is fine, but we don't have a speed in the traditional system. So if our company, if we can afford to have HANA in our company, so that we can just bring this infrastructure side to it, side by side, and then we can make this connections established, we can configure configurations done, and then we can actually bring some of the structures which are being used quite often, which are dealing with the huge amounts of data. Those particular table structures can be brought down to HANA. And then if it is a normal database report, we don't have to send the request here. We can just send the request to the same system itself and get it done. If it is a complex report, or if that report deals with a huge data, obviously we can just send it to HANA. On the other hand, you can also report from HANA itself. If you're talking from HANA, that means anything you can ask. So it could be a normal one or the complex one. So it could be from both the sides you can work on reporting. Reporting can be connected to this application layer or this HANA also. So this is used in the COPA scenario. So you being a financial consultant, Aruna and Kamran, you can target for this type of scenario implementations going forward so that you can become techno-functional. So the moment you become techno-functional, where HANA is being used as a technology, I think you have very good value in the market right now. So these are the scenarios about how HANA is being used in the current industry. Fine, and let me just go back to our modeling, and then we talk all these things after the modeling. So let me just complete the calculation view. Any questions on this? Any questions on the use cases? I think now you know how the HANA is being used in the industry.
Yes.
So I'm actually, I just wanted to get to this calculation view, which is pending right now, so that we can complete this modeling part. Yes. But when I say complete the modeling part, do not worry, unless and until you do the project, you will not be happy with your modeling skills anyway. So we have to get into the project and start doing it so that you'll be happy with your modeling skills. Just by following me, probably you might not be happy, I know. So we need that server access so that we can start this project also simultaneously, yeah. So we spoke about okay. We spoke about attribute view, and we have seen how we can design this view, and then analytical view, and then the next one is calculation view. This is something that we have to see. I think we know that attribute views are the basic building blocks in the modeling, just the two-dimensional objects we developed with the master data tables. Then analytical view is something that, which is a little bit complex, which is a multi-dimensional in nature. So we try to take the transaction table, and then we try to use the existing attribute views to make the analytical view like this. I think this is the analytical view, if you like. So this is what we have done so far. And then let's see what about the calculation view. So in this, we can make n number of attribute views which are required for our business requirement, and then we use them here in the analytical view. This is the same thing actually. This is the same thing we use here, the same thing we reuse here. So that way the calculation view works how? The calculation view is a little bit complex than these two views, and then you can say it is a composite views used on top of analytical and attribute views, which means it actually combines analytical views attribute views, and then any other tables, other types of views. Obviously, only these two types until now. So all these can be brought inside the calculation, which means it could be a really complex. So it can perform complex calculations not possible with other views. Imagine sometimes in your project, we talked about data mart, right? Sometimes, in the companies, the one analytical view itself is one data mart, Let's say here, our dimensions are maybe, 30 dimensions, and then our transaction tables are maybe 10 or 5. So in that transaction tables, we actually bring them together to make one fact table here, and surrounded by the 20 to 30 dimensions. That is your data mart for you, So that is your data mart sometimes. So sometimes you don't need to go to calculation view itself, if your business requirement is not very complex. But still, it is very huge. This could have accommodated huge amounts of data calculation view, no problem. This could have accommodated n number of tables. We can bring n number of tables, transaction tables into this as a fact table here, and then we have n number of attribute views, those who are coming from the master data tables, and then we can just make this analytical view, very complex analytical view, which is just one view actually, is your data mart. Maybe it is 6 months project still. It is not easy sometimes. It is huge. But you're not going to calculation view because you don't have that scenario in here. But whereas in here, if you're not able to achieve your functionality by just using attribute views and analytical views, obviously you have to go to the calculation piece because that is the ultimate complex one. So here everything is possible. There's nothing that is not possible here in the calculation view. So the rules here are less, so that the flexibility is more. The number of nodes are more here. For example, here I'll just tell you one. Here the number of nodes are just 2, and then here the number of nodes are 3. You've seen those. Here data foundation and semantics, here data foundation, star join and semantics. Here the number of nodes are n. You could have 10 nodes, 15 nodes, 20 nodes, 5 nodes. Calculation view, the number of nodes are not limited like these two. And then the calculations, complex calculations you can bring. And then the objects here, the kind of objects you use could be, the analytical view could be one object. Imagine that you have done analytical view for 6 months and achieved a huge complex analytical view. That particular analytical view becomes just one object in one of the node. Imagine it is like that. And again, you would be doing other nodes also, other views also. So it goes like that. It actually, why we have to do like this? Because we have to do like this based on the business requirement. Because we are actually mining the data here. We are actually conducting analysis in the data. So we require to come up with so many modeling artifacts which will help us to fulfill our business requirement. So inside the modeling. So calculation view is there for you to do that. And it can be defined as either graphical views or scripted views depending on the how they are created, which means the HANA is giving us two choices. You can actually use the GUI and then design your calculation view, or you can just simply write a code which is a script. And then we mostly work with the GUI because which is more easy and which is more with more industry practice. Also GUI. Sometimes they also do the scripting based calculation view designs also anyway. So this is one thing. And calculation views can be referred as combination of tables, attribute views, and analytical views to deliver a complex business. That's we spoke about it. It can have everything actually. So let us see how this calculation view looks like. But I said there are n number of nodes in calculation view. Remember? Just about now here. So we're talking about n number of nodes, but all the n nodes are being made from just 5 nodes. That means we have 5 nodes with which you can derive n number of nodes. For example, 2 of that nodes can be, you can actually make like, the node is nothing but what? What is a node here, according to you? I think you know what I'm talking about, right? Is there? Hello? Aruna?
Yes, I'm there, sir. I didn't get it. I was going to ask you what is not.
Yeah. See, just to tell you, the node is this one. Um, See, node is nothing but here data foundation is one node, semantics is one node. That is what I mean by node. And then here, in analytical view, data foundation is one node, and then star join is another node, semantics another node. These are the nodes. Node is nothing but, you will actually, your data would be moving from one node to another. It is a transition state where it will take the, data from the previous node and then allow you to perform some operations here, and the output will be carried to the next node. So node is a junction, kind of junction you can say, data junction. So we have 3 nodes in analytical view which are fixed. You cannot bring more nodes than this. You cannot make it less also, it is just fixed. And then we have 2 nodes in attribute view, but whereas our calculation view, we have n number of nodes. It's not limited. But these n number of nodes are made by 5 existing types of nodes. You got now, Aruna? So these 5 types of nodes will be helping us to derive this n number of nodes in the calculation view based on how we want to design our artifact. So let's see how it is. Yeah, let's see. You got it right now?
Yes.
That means imagine how complex the calculation view could be.
Mm-hmm.
So those 5 nodes are this. These are the 5 nodes we have. So they are aggregation, projection, join, union all, and rank. Let's see what are those. And then in the scripted based calculation view, you can actually do with the CE functions and then SQL script. We more focus on the GUI based, which is this. So it supports reusing analytical views, attribute views, and other calculation views, like graphical. So it's like this actually. If you take the calculation view like this, this is a calculation view. Assume that it can actually have inside the attribute views, analytical views, and calculation views also, and then tables also. You know, everything can come inside the calculation view itself. This one is an attribute view, and then this one is an analytical view, and this one could be your, this one could be your calculation view itself, and then this one could be your table, physical table. So you can make another calculation view with the help of R. This is not one attribute view. It could be n number of attribute views, n number of analytical views, n number of calculation views. I mean, it is a complex. It can take you to any complex situation to actually solve your business requirement, expectation. Modeling can be done up to, it will look like a flow graphs will be designed to be very interesting. I'll show you just about now. Before that, we just have to learn what are these nodes: aggregation, projection, join, union, or rank. These are the nodes that are available in the calculation view. If you look at the calculation view, let us just talk about this first, and then we go into the tool and see how they look like. The nodes we have is join, union, projection, aggregation, and rank. I think join is the same thing that we have. This node is used to join two source objects and project the result to the next node. The join type can be any other joins that we learn, which are available in the SAP HANA. So we can actually have two types of sources to join, because the join will have the left side of the join and then right side of the join. We cannot have three, right? The join always expects two objects. The join sits between those two objects, and the join calls the left side of the join could be one UR table, and the right side of the join, which is a UR table. And the result set is going to be just one view, which is the join of these two. So join does it exactly how the other join that we know in the database. It's the same thing, but they just put it as a node here. So that means you can have one node where you can bring more than one object, which means two objects, just to two objects, and then you can actually bring any of the join which is required based on the requirement, and then you can join them. So you can do this in the join node. This is available separately as a node, join. Before that, in attribute views and analytical views, how we used to do is, inside the node used to be, there is no node called join node there. But we can still use join in the data foundation. Hope you remember in the data foundation, when we drag and drop the tables there on the data foundation, that is where your foundation is, your first step to actually model. You try to bring those tables and work on by joining them actually, in order to get the common records, or left side records which are mapping to right side, or whatever, vice versa, based on the type of the join. So here you have one node of join. That is something that we know it now in calculation view. Then what is the second node? The second node we have is a union. Union is used to perform union all operations between multiple sources. The source can be n number of objects. See, here the union is, the union, right? How the union function works? Hope you know it, right? What is union? It's the same SQL union I'm talking about, nothing more.
It brings all of the data from both tables into one.
Yes, I think you know that. That's the function that we'll be seeing also for more clarity. In our COPA example, we have to use this union anyway. So, but it's the same thing. If you know it, that's well and good. It's the same concept. So, but here you can have n number of objects, because you can bring more than two objects into union also. Not like join. Join will only have two things: the left side of the join, right side of the join. You can only join two things at the same time, at a time. But here, on the side of union, you can actually bring A union, B union, C union, D. You can bring 3, 4, 5 objects to actually make the union. And then projection. What is a projection? This is used to fine-tune our source objects before we use in the next nodes like union, aggregation, and rank. We can choose selected columns and filter the data and create additional columns. See, projection is something that it's not a big deal. It's just intermediate node, you can say, where you can use it as intermediate node, where we might require, horizontal and vertical chopping, which means if we want to cut down some of the columns, that is, I call it as a vertical chopping. So that means we don't want to take some of the columns before we go into the next node. And then we wanted to cut down some of the records, some of the rows, that is called horizontal chopping, I would say. If you want to do like this before you go on to the next node, from present node, better you bring projection in between. So the projection will do this. Not only this horizontal chopping and vertical chopping, it can be also used to introduce new columns. Such as calculated columns, restricted columns, and all that. You have the facility also here. So basically, that is what is your projection does it. It just takes the projection of the whole, which means the subset of the whole. And aggregation is something that is very important in the data warehousing world, analytical world. This is used to perform aggregation on specific columns based on the selected attributes. So this aggregation, we have a separate node. We can use it actually. So HANA do it aggregation, just the purpose of having this node is if there are any possibilities to have the aggregate values in any of the attributes, you can just select them, then HANA does it for you because you are on the aggregation node. And then rank is something that, the rank in SQL, it's the same thing actually. You can actually define, you can bring actually rank by partitioning into, so several other tables or columns with ascending or descending order. For example, how do I say? I'll probably give one example in the tool how to do that. But just to tell you, if you want to find the rank in, let's say, just simple one column, it is easy sometimes. You don't need separate node. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you why they put separate node for you. Sometimes you would want to combine 2, 3, 4 rows and then find out the rank. That's not easy in a big table, Let's say you want to combine 7 columns and then put together, you want to find out rank of it. It's not easy. Sometimes it is complex, right, to write a code for it. And then bring that rank and place it and compare with the another 2, 3 columns ranks that we may have. So rank might require to be used repeatedly with more complex data. So they thought, the SAP thought that we require another, node. That's why they kept that. So we require it also. Otherwise, it becomes tough for us to use SQL. So they tried to make sure that GUI has all the required nodes for us to handle any type of business scenario, business situation. So that is what we have, these 5 nodes. Remember, these 5 nodes can be used n number of times inside the calculation view. So the number of nodes that a calculation view has does not have any limit. It can go. It has a limit, but it is a very huge. You can make so many number, but all numbers will come from these 5. So any of the node if you take at any time, either that node becomes this or this or this, any of these 5. It's like that. You can just use any of these 5, but repeatedly. You can use aggregation. You can project, and then you use 2 join nodes and then again one union, and then you find one rank node, and then again you go up and you need again projection. Things like that. It is just going on, and then it goes like a flow graph. This is the calculation view example. For example, here is a projection node, and then you have one, calculation view itself sitting on the projection node. Imagine to make this calculation view, again you have to go through that whole calculation view process, and then you have another projection, one column table is sitting here, and then you have aggregation, one sales analytical view sitting here, and then you have flow graph like this is one direction that the data is flowing. There is another direction the data is flowing, this direction the data is flowing. Like we have three types of flows here which are meeting at this joint and then becoming one flow that is ending at the semantics. It is like that. It is possible. It can go any number of flows again simultaneously. So it could meet at one point. And obviously, before we end the calculation view, obviously it has to meet here, which becomes just one flow. So the bottom you will have more flows until the top, which will become just one flow. So this is how your calculation view looks like. And I think this, like I discussed, we actually can make this calculation view with the help of tables, attribute views, and other tables, other types of attribute views, and then analytical views, and the calculation view itself. It is a bigger scope, by the way. It is a bigger scope. So let's see in the tool how this looks like. If I say new, then I say calculation view. We have seen how to create attribute view, then how to create analytical view. So right now I'm just seeing how to create calculation view itself. So that is something that you have to see. So I just click the calculation view. It says select the required view type and enter the. You can actually change your mind here to do the attribute view or analytical view or calculation view. After clicking the new also, you can still change it to the required view. So we are in the calculation view. So we have to give a name here. Calculation view underscore, and then the label the same way. And here, there's something different here. You have to make a note of it. Here you can decide the graphical or scripted. If it is scripted, what happens is it will just open the SQL script begin and end. You just have to write your script. But we just do this graphical more, which is more interesting and more, we talk more about graphical. Script is something that you require SQL script skills. So we go for script also usually in the industries if we are not able to accomplish the task by using graphical. So otherwise mostly in the industry they use only graphical. So if I say with star join here, actually what happens is the whole calculation view becomes analytical view, which means you can actually create analytical view with the calculation view itself. If you put with the star join, this is just a analytical view, but with much bigger scope. The scope is like this, I tell you. You see, in the analytical view, you remember, we had data foundation and then star join, it was here. We had data foundation and then star join and then semantics. When we create the analytical view inside the calculation view, the data foundation is not there, but the last but one is the star join and then end is the semantics. It's the same thing. That means the end should be the same, but in the bottom, when we work from the bottom up approach, the bottom you can do complex things unless the bottom is just only one node, but here you can make n number of nodes here. But at the end, it becomes just a star join. So all these nodes outcome is going to be a one cube, which will be coming into the star join. Where in the star join, you will actually add more dimensions to make it as a star schema, and then that particular cube is going to be created using semantics. So that is the difference. So here, the first thing is I created this calculation view as a analytical view. That is one thing. But of course, I can do so many other things. Remember that this calculation view is being created as an analytical view. So now here I have all these 5 nodes here, which we discussed: the join, union, and the projection, aggregation, rank. And you have a palette here anyway. So anything, if I want, for example, I want a projection, I just drag here. The projection node comes. I want a union, I just drag here. That's how I work here. Now you are in the complex situation. You are not limited by the number of rows. You can do any number. But here, since this is an analytical view, at the end it is going to be a star join. At the end you will have, your structure is going to be this. The structure is going to be this at the end. You know, the structure is going to be this at the end, because you are just doing an analytical view inside the calculation view. Because you choose calculation view while you design itself in the beginning, you said that it is going to be an analytical view. But in the calculation view platform, do not try to get confused on this. So with the calculation view, you can create attribute view itself, or analytical view itself, or calculation view itself with the calculation view platform that you have. So at the same time, I say the second type is, I say calculation view. Second one, for example, so here I don't put with this with star join, because you see, if you set the data category as Q, the default node is aggregation. You can change the default node to star join by selecting the checkbox. So if I do the checkbox, that means what happens is the star join was the last node just before semantics. Of course, semantics is the final node for every modeling artifact. Just before the final node, what kind of node it is, based on that we will know. Problem is, if he calls, internet is lost. Hello, you can hear me?
There was a big gap.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I
Can you
am
hear me now?
hearing you.
Okay, sorry, if I get a call on this, my internet is lost. That's why I have to stop on this. I'm sorry. So let me just go back to what we are talking about. So right now, if I don't put with star join, so what happens is, let's see what happens, which is different from the first one that I did. You see, the last node is aggregation. So this is the real calculation view actually. This one is an analytical view I was creating inside the calculation view. But for the real calculation view, you should not put star join as a final node. If you leave it, it's actually aggregation. So that means you can have all these things again down, but the end is not a star join, end is not a cube. So obviously in this case, this is not analytical view. This is a pure calculation view we are creating using the calculation view platform. See, going forward now in the next versions of the HANA, what they did was they tried to remove attribute views and analytical views, because in the calculation view itself, you can do that. You just have to specify what view you want to create in the calculation view. Just now we have seen that in the calculation view, we can actually create the analytical view, and then we can actually create the calculation view itself. And then we can also create the attribute view also. How? We will see. Underscore calculation view underscore third one. And here we try to see the time. Do you see here the standard and then time? And then if I put the time, it is actually a time dimension. You can create time dimension is nothing but an attribute view which deals with the time actually. But if you actually put this one as a dimension, it's a standard attribute view itself. You see, what I did was I just removed this cube, and then I'm not choosing with star join either. If it is cube and star join, it is analytical view. If it is cube without star join, it is a calculation view. But if it is not cube, if it is a dimension itself, then imagine this is your attribute view, isn't it? Because it is a dimension. Standard one, the dimension, and then if I click this now, this is your attribute view. But still, you have a number of nodes you can still build your attribute, which means they are actually, see why they have to do like this is, it has been evolved for the last 5 years HANA with SPS 1 until SPS 12. SPS earlier HANA 1.0, SPS 1, SPS 2, SPS 3. Every 6 months, they try to make it evolve to bring complex modeling artifact scenarios. How simplified environment we have on that. They were trying to work on that. Initially, it was not simplified environment. Now they're making it more simplified environment. Initially, there were more types. So going forward, you don't see attribute use and analytical use alone, because in the calculation view itself, you can make them. Why do you want separately? And then in the separate way, attribute view is restricted just with 2 nodes. Analytical view is restricted just with 3 nodes. But here, you have a number of nodes again for just even attribute view. You see, you can bring a number of nodes here with which you can work on before you go to the projection. See, the difference is if the projection is at the top in the calculation view, that means it is a dimension, it is an attribute view. It is an attribute view inside the calculation view platform. If the star join is last but one node, so that means this is a analytical view. But if the aggregation node is the last but one, that means that is a calculation view itself. That is something that you have to remember. So how? Let me write it down here. So if the last, I would say last node, because semantics is always on top of all nodes. Assuming that semantics is on top of all nodes, every time semantics is fixed. The last node is, star join. Then obviously this is an analytical view. I'm talking about inside the calculation view. But if the last node is, let's say, projection, so then I would say this is attribute view. Or we call it as a dimension here. It's the same thing, right? And if the last node is aggregation, I would say this is the real calculation view. So calculation view has become a platform for making any kind of view that you want. Not only the calculation view, we can also make other types of views also. Like this, what you see is. So right now, let me show you what else we can do in this. For example, how we do this is, how do we bring data into these nodes? how do we bring data into these nodes?
Yes,
You drag and drop them from your
yes.
schema.
Sorry?
You drag them from your schema, so where you want to put it.
Correct. That's the point. So you drag and drop here. And what we can drag and drop here? Can we drag and drop only the tables or any other thing?
It
Yeah,
could be anything. It could be the table, or it could be another attribute, or
Correct.
analytical
Correct.
view.
It is something that exactly. So unlike here, in here, for example, if I look at, that is what something that I want you to understand. In here, let's assume I'm in the analytical view, right? I cannot drag and drop, for example, a calculation view on top of it. It will not accept. It has rules. There are certain things we have to follow here. But even if I have to bring this analytical view itself on top of analytical view, I still cannot do it. So all these nodes are restricted here in the attribute views and analytical views. But whereas here, so you can just bring any object into this. You know, you can bring the whole calculation view itself into one node. You see, it shows it can accept. You see that? I can just drag and drop. You can bring. So that is the beauty of this calculation view. How we do is we just have to decide how our business requirement says from bottom-up approach. From down we have to go up actually. So based on the requirement we move. For example, in the COPA, what we do is, so when they said that they will give you the server access, Aruna, for me they said Monday. You have same news? Do you have the same news?
Server access. So I have my credentials. I share that with everyone else because they did not have the server access. So
when they are getting it?
I don't know when they are getting it. They should have it. I don't know. I did not receive any email from them. I have the server access. I got it a long back and I shared that with everyone because they did not have the server access.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's okay. So let me just show you. We will see this calculation view creation when we start the project. So let me just show you how we can create some tables here, for example. But for the COPA project, we will bring tables from the SAP system, like I said. So all these tables which I used inside the COPA were the tables that we actually brought it from SAP system. For example, this is, if you see this table, this table is from the SAP system. It's not accessible right now, but you see this table structure, CE1, it is a huge table. So in general, we try to do in the project, we handle the use tables. But how do you create table in SAP HANA? Any idea? Just create table, simple. I have some examples here for you to go through if you want to practice some small examples I have. So you can also try. I put it in the URL that I sent you on this. For example, you can just create a table like this. Create table description. You have some of the tables I mentioned, but these are of no use except to learn the syntax. The useful is the big tables that we have. For example, if I do this, and then how do you create the tables is here. See, first of all, you have to choose any of this folder here, only then this gets activated. You see here, open SQL console for selected system. This is something that where you can write SQL. And then here there's the administrator part. You can actually, this is something that we will not talk much because this administrator guy knows it. What we'll talk is, we will talk the security aspect. I will talk a little bit about it. And this is something that use portion we're still missing in data provisioning. And for the moment, if you click on any of this folder, you get to see that this is being activated. If you click on this, that means your SQL, this thing is ready for you to create any table. So how do you create your table is basically, you mention create table, and then obviously you have to have the schema. You cannot put your table in just nowhere. You require your container of the objects which you have on your name or on your project name, which is called the mini database, which is a schema here. So if you have a schema, otherwise how do you create a schema? We already seen it, just create schema. So I hope I have my schema here just to see that. So I have my schema here with some of the tables. So what I could do is this create table, I have to write create column table is nothing but create table, both are same. I told you it is a default. Just the good practice to know it is a create column table. By the way, how do you know that whether it is a column table or row table? You can see here there is a symbol. Is this available? Is this visible for you? You can see that the columns are dominating here. You can see that the row is dominating here. For example, if I click this one and then open data preview, hope this is working. It's not working. Even this. Yes, it is working. You see here, if I open this, it is stuck again. 1 minute. Yeah, if I open the definition of it, you can actually get to see that here. You see, which has been frozen. You cannot change it. The type is here, row type. If you click here, you will also have the column table. But this is fixed for now because it is row type table. This one. If you the same way, if you open this, it is not getting open right now. Maybe this I can open. No, but if I open this structure, probably I can show you. Open definition. You see here column based. This is a column store. This is a row store. You see the difference here. So you can see the difference here, or you can see the difference on the table symbol itself. You see the symbol here is a column is dominating here. I think you can get this difference. I don't know the resolution, how it is going to be on the other side. Is it visible?
Yes.
It is visible, right? That this is the row symbol and this is a column symbol, right?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, that's nice. So this is how you do it. So here we are trying to create a simple table. I'm trying to say, let's say the create table or create column table, that is the syntax. And then I have to give the always here is going to be a schema name, because your schema is your mini database. Your schema is something that where you put all your physical objects. You cannot keep the physical object hanging on somewhere. It has to be inside your schema. So you can just drag and drop like this. It takes it, or you can just simply type it. Like this. You can just type it. Like this. If you type it, it will come. Or the best thing is just drag and drop. So that means that particular schema definition will come here. Dot the kind of product that you want, the kind of table that you want to create. So here, this one is the table name that you want to put. This is the one that you want to create. And then you start, this is just a syntax, And then you have to mention that what type of data type it is. You just go through the SQL syntax. I mean, SQL is an ocean. You can find, I hope you know some of the SQL things. So you don't need so much of SQL here, but at least you need some SQL, because tomorrow, when you are in the implementation, it is not good if you don't know the basics of SQL. So I advise, I kept the basics SQL manuals also in the content that I gave it to you, the URL that I shared. Otherwise, even from the internet, you can just take a basic SQL manual, which can teach you this just basic syntax things. Not so much. the tool, you have a GUI tool here. With the help of GUI, you can actually do so many things, but you still require some of the SQL anyway. So, and then after writing your code, you just have to press this. It says here, execute it. So if you press this, it basically should give you a positive reply if it is executing it. You see, create column, Vira, and something, table name is created. It took about this much time, and then the rows affected is 0. So there's no red here. That means it's a good news. That means things are working out. So it means your table is being created. It is created right now. You just have to refresh this and then see that the table is available or not. And just go back to the tables thing here and then see the table name. You see, which is something that I gave right now. And then if you go and see here the definition, if I go and open the definition, I see that this is a column store. Obviously, I want that to be a column store. If I want a row store, I can create. If I want a column store, I can create. But I advise do not create row store unless it is necessary. And then by default, create table is nothing but create column table. So obviously it takes as a column table. So now if I go and let's say want to see the content here, I don't have any content. It's just a structure, nothing, no content here. I just only created table. Likewise, I have some examples you can practice. These are the basic things. And for this example, if you want to put content, you can also put content like this. You know, for example, I just copy and paste for the moment and go here. So what you can do is you can actually put this, but this is going to be changing here. This is going to be what? This is going to be this. If I go left, this is going to be this. I think if that is coming, yeah, that's a good news. You're getting the whole, you know, the schema table. Always there has to be like this schema table. So I just copy that probably schema table into all of this and schema table and then schema table. I'm trying to, but you don't do like this anyway in the real world because it is just to have some examples. You can make like 3-4 tables, and you know you can actually practice a little bit on that also. Schema. So what is the mistake I'm doing here? I see I did some mistake here. Do you see what mistake I did? Okay, let me just put only 3. That's enough. So if I do this, what happens is I'm actually inserting 3 rows. So every row I can insert also by this. If I do this, I think it should take. It is affected. It says rows affected, and then I can actually see that if you go on see here, you can actually refresh this here. If you do not have a refresh, you have to go to the upper, which is a table. If you have a refresh, if you do not have, obviously you have to go to the next level. So the refresh is always like that to get the recent database state. And then you go inside, you'll find some data, I guess, like this. So you have some examples in my the SQL examples. You can take it. You can actually create schema by yourself, create some tables by yourself, and then create you know, the package by yourself, and then start creating small attributes by your own. You know how to create it. But anyway, you'll be knowing more in the project probably. You might be thinking, not sure how to create attribute views even though you've gone through it, but that's okay. So after going to this project, I'm just telling you, you can, you know, get into the tool quite a number of times by just having small examples, you know. So those tables you can use it here to create your attribute views and things like that. So that's all for today. Is it okay? Hello?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good night, you guys. I'll see you again.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Sorry, any questions? Maybe we will have a question session tomorrow, okay? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, are you available? Can I talk to you on sound?
You think I'll be getting out, sir. Today I'll be catching him. You just give me time
Okay.
today.
Okay, sir. Thank
Sorry,
you.
sir. I'm just on that, sir. I'm just on that. Yeah, I'll get to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kamran, Aruna, and Vishal, all good
Okay.
night. Yeah, thank you.